During a White House press briefing this week, White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt was asked a very simple question from New York Times White House correspondent Jonathan Swan. See, Jonathan Swan wanted to know why Donald Trump is allowed to direct the DOJ to investigate his political enemies, yet when Biden was president, Donald Trump did nothing but whine about Biden allegedly, which he didn't, directing the DOJ to investigate Trump. Like, what's the difference here? Why the hypocrisy? And, more importantly, why the abuse of power? Here is what Jonathan Swan asked Karoline Leavitt specifically. The president has long said that it would be an abuse of power for a president to direct prosecutors to investigate him. Last week, President Trump explicitly directed the Justice Department to scrutinize Chris Krebs to see if it can find any evidence of criminal wrongdoing. How is that not an abuse of power to direct the Justice Department to look into an individual, a named individual? Now, before I read you the response that Karoline Leavitt gave, and she completely fell apart when she gave it, it's important to understand the story of Chris Krebs. Chris Krebs was one of Donald Trump's national security advisors during the first administration, but following the 2020 election, Donald Trump was out there obviously telling us there was so much voter fraud, and Chris Krebs was like, no, there's not. Like, that's it. He's like, nope, there actually is no voter fraud. You lost the election. So Trump fired him. But that is Chris Krebs' crime. Boy, that was a tongue twister. Because Krebs said there was no voter fraud, he was fired. Now, 4.5 years later, Trump is telling the DOJ, go on a fishing expedition. Let's see if we can get this guy behind bars because he disagreed with me. Now, that is shocking and terrifying. But Karoline Leavitt tried to muster a response, and here is what she said in response to that question. Look, the president signed that executive order. It's the position of the president in this White House that it's well within his authority to do it. Otherwise, he wouldn't have signed it. And he signed it, and that's his policy. That was her response. Like, this reporter points out, like, hey, super hypocritical, definitely an abuse of power. What are you saying? Karoline Leavitt's like, well, Trump signed a thing, and because he signed the thing, he can do the thing. If he couldn't do the thing, he wouldn't have signed the thing. Duh. That is a response that is not just a non-response, okay? It's not a non-answer. It's gibberish from a very dumb person. Let me read it to you again. I want this to soak into your brain. Look, the president signed that executive order. It's the position of the president in this White House that it's well within his authority to do it. Otherwise, he wouldn't have signed it. And he signed it, and that's his policy. That doesn't make any sense. He's abusing his power. Yeah, but he signed it, and if he hadn't signed it, he couldn't do it, but he could do it because he did sign it. What? You don't make any sense. And that was it. She then moved on to other questions, just leaving the answer hanging out there well, he signed it. I don't know what to tell you. If he didn't sign it, he couldn't do it, but he could do it because he did sign it. That's the level of competency we get from people like Karoline Leavitt. She has no idea what she's doing. She is grossly unqualified to hold this position, and yet she holds it. She's probably going to get a nice, comfortable job after this administration is over. I don't think she's going to make it the full 4 years. None of Trump's press secretaries do. But we're going to have to deal with her for quite some time until Fox News says, hey, come on, we'll give you a big fat contract. And then we'll have to deal with her every day forever. But this is a woman who is really starting to crack under the pressure. That is what that response tells me. She doesn't understand it. She doesn't get it. She can't even lie properly anymore. 3 months into the job, and her brain is already fried. Thanks for watching today, everybody. And don't forget, if you're not already, please do subscribe to this channel. We have fresh content going up every single day, and I would really hate for you to miss out on that. And speaking of missing out, if you're not following me across all other social media outlets, then get on it. You can follow the links in the description of this video.